I start the tillering phase by marking the sides of both limbs at the fades and at mid-limb. Here's a look at my tillering setup. I have a drawboard with a series of screws that I can bring in and out for micro-tillering. I learned about the process of micro-tillering watching Thad Beckham and Keith Shannon on their YouTube channel. I can further exercise the limbs as well and check weight on the bow when the time comes. I first put the bow on the tree and just get the limbs to start to flex. I have rigged up a paracord tillering string with a series of loops in it so that I can gradually shorten the string as I work my way through the tillering process. Right now, I can see that the outer half of both limbs needs to flex more. In the early stages of the tillering process, I use my Shinto rasp on the coarse side and then the fine side to remove most of the tool marks. I then follow that up with a card scraper to blend the entire limb. At this point, there is plenty of wood left to make draw weight. I usually do a round or two of wood removal using a straight edge with my eyeballs. I like to get both of the limbs bending the same amount. I will then switch to a tillering gizmo to check myself. This was a handy device I learned about a long time ago from Eric Cruson. I believe it was on the Trad Gang website back in the day, but I can still find links to it on the Primitive Archer website. The gizmo finds the parts of the limb that aren't bending as much and leaves a pencil line to reference where wood needs to be removed. I repeat the process with the Shinto rasp and card scraper. You want to adjust the gizmo so it's just barely not touching the wood just down limb from the fade. When you start to get long continuous lines, you are getting an even bend. As long as your bend is even, you can slowly increase how far you are pulling the limbs. With this particular setup, I will measure the limb tips down to this nailer behind my tillering tree to reference how much each limb is bending. I like to use a pencil to mark up the limb where wood needs to be removed. You need to remember to blend the entire limb in with a card scraper after you do the localized wood removal where the marks were. You also have to exercise the limbs after each wood removal. This allows you to see the results of the wood removal so you can decide how to proceed. Every so often, I'll take some 80 grit sandpaper and work the limb edges and the belly so it's nice and smooth. A smooth working surface makes it easier to remove wood cleanly and evenly. I continue the above mentioned process in shortening the tillering string till I get it close to brace height. As you can see, the right limb pictured is slightly stronger than the left. We can remedy this by taking some nice long clean strokes with the card scraper. You need to monitor draw weight once you get the bow braced to make sure you have enough wood left to reach your target draw weight. You can see the bend at 20 inches and at 26 inches. I like to pull the last inch or two by hand. I will look at the full draw in hand and decide if I want to make any corrections to the tiller. This particular bow finished out at 50 pounds at 28 inches of draw. Next, I will go through how I do the final finish work on most of my bows.